Welcome back to The Explainer. I am so pumped you're joining us today because, let's be honest, we're tackling something that literally every single professional has faced, and if we're being real, probably stressed out over. Picture this. You're sitting right there in front of the HR manager. The awkward pleasantries are out of the way. They glance down at your resume, they look back up at you, and they get ready to drop the big one. Today, we're decoding the single most common and arguably the most intimidating interview question out there. And we aren't just relying on textbook theory here, no way. We're actually deconstructing real applicant data, actual answers submitted by real job seekers on a massive career forum to figure out exactly what works.
Tell me about yourself. I mean, it's just 5 words, right? But those 5 little words can absolutely make or break your entire interview. It's this giant, open-ended trap that leaves so many of us rambling, totally unsure of where to start or, worse, when to stop. But today, we're putting on our detective hats. By digging into real form submissions from candidates across a whole bunch of different industries, we are going to uncover the winning formula. We'll see exactly how real people organize their thoughts, how they flex their skills, and ultimately how they win over the room. So, here is our game plan for today. First, we'll look at the anatomy of an answer. Second, showcasing skills and experience. Third, adding the personal touch. And finally, number 4, sticking the landing. Let's kick things off with part 1, anatomy of an answer, building the foundation.
You know, a house without a solid foundation is just going to crumble. And an interview answer without a clear structure, well, that's just going to end up confusing the hiring manager. When we actually crunched the forum data, an incredibly consistent pattern jumped right out at us. We found this 3-step framework that almost every single successful candidate relies on to keep their thoughts straight. Step 1 is the introduction and education. Basically, who are you and what's your academic baseline? Step 2 moves right into skills and projects. What can you actually do in the real world? And Step 3 wraps the whole thing up with hobbies and a closing, proving you're a well-rounded human being and gracefully giving the floor back to the interviewer. It's simple, it's elegant, and it keeps you from getting lost in your own story. Let's see Step 1 in action, shall we? Take a look at this quote from an applicant named Shah Daria. He says, "Currently, I am pursuing my BTech in computer engineering from LDRP ITR, aspiring full-stack developer." Notice how Daria doesn't waste a single second here. He immediately establishes his technical background and his future ambitions right out of the gate. Boom. Within just one sentence, the HR manager knows exactly what box to put him in and what trajectory he's on. It is incredibly efficient. And what's super cool is how brilliantly this exact same foundational step works for entirely different fields. Just look at Santharia's opening. She states, "I am a final year BSc Honors Agriculture student, hands-on experience in crop production." She pivots smoothly from her agriculture education straight into her practical knowledge working with black gram and wetland rice. So, whether you're transitioning from complex IT frameworks or agricultural crop production, Step 1 is universally effective. Tell them what you studied and tell them exactly what you aim to be. Moving right along to part 2, showcasing skills and experience, proving your worth. Okay, so now that you've laid the foundation, how do you actually prove your worth? What's really fascinating here is the sheer contrast in how different candidates approach this. We have Akshat over on one side, who focuses heavily on a highly technical, hard skills toolkit. He's highlighting his knowledge of SQL, Power BI, and Python libraries like NumPy and Pandas for data analytics. But then juxtapose that with Hensi. Hensi is an IT student too, but her strategy leans heavily into soft skills, things like team coordination, leadership, and communication. She backs this up by mentioning her active membership in her college placement cell and cultural committee. The takeaway? Both approaches are highly effective, but they serve totally different purposes depending on the specific role you're going after. Across all the candidate responses we analyzed, a handful of specific adjectives just kept popping up. These are the go-to traits candidates use to confidently describe their professional mindset. Quick learner, self-motivated, disciplined, adaptable, and goal-oriented. You literally see these exact phrases used over and over again by applicants like Sarin, Daksh, and Horshita. But honestly, here's the secret. Just throwing these buzzwords around isn't enough. You absolutely have to back them up. So the make-or-break moment is how you connect the two. Check out this awesome example from Kanonti Nikitha. She says, "Have done a project on machine learning, and my strengths are hard worker, a quick learner, and adaptable." Notice how she effectively bridges her hard technical projects, in this case machine learning, with those specific, highly sought-after soft skills. She isn't just claiming to be a quick learner out of nowhere. She's using a genuinely complex machine learning project as the implicit proof of that adaptability.
It's really smart. All right, let's jump into part 3, adding the personal touch, standing out. Once you've proven you have the skills, you need to prove you're someone the team actually wants to spend 40 hours a week with. This is exactly where hobbies come in. But wait, not just any hobbies. Look at Sian Nukamari Chintella, an MBA graduate in HR. She says, apart from my academics, I also love creating cooking videos, which help me improve my creativity, confidence. I just love her clever strategy here. She doesn't just list some random hobby and move on. She connects her unique interest in making cooking videos directly to tangible professional skills, like presentation and consistency. It makes her instantly memorable, right? But it still aggressively sells her professional value.
We actually see a very similar strategy from Hensi, who mentions her hobbies include Mahandi designing, mandala art, and basketball. The inclusion of these diverse, highly detailed, and team-oriented interests, yeah, that's not an accident. She explicitly states that these activities help her stay creative, disciplined, and focused outside of the classroom. It signals to an interviewer that she has an incredibly balanced, dedicated mindset in literally all areas of her life.
But hey, being human isn't just about sharing fun hobbies. Sometimes it's about raw transparency. Take a moment to analyze Sagar Dixit's approach to the whole weakness aspect of introducing himself. He says, when the situation is pressure, I am confused because the options are multiple. That is my weakness. Wow. This is a refreshingly honest, even vulnerable approach to admitting a real weakness under pressure. It provides a stark contrast to those overly polished, frankly fake answers we always hear, like, oh, I just work too hard. Sagar shows genuine self-awareness here. And let me tell you, that is a massive green flag for a good manager.
And that brings us to our final section, part 4, sticking the landing, the final impression. So you've introduced yourself, you've proven your skills, and you've shown off your personality. Now, how do you actually stop talking without making it awkward? Well, according to the data, this is the single most popular direct phrase applicants use. This is all about me. Thank you. Candidates like Akshat and Nikita use this simple, straightforward line to clearly signal to the HR manager that they have finished speaking. It cleanly hands the conversational baton right back to the interviewer. It's polite, it's crisp, and honestly, it just works. However, if you really want to elevate that closing to the next level, contrast that simple sign-off with Santhare's forward-looking approach. She finishes up with, looking forward to applying my skills, knowledge, and passion to contribute to your organization's growth. Now that is an absolute masterclass in sticking the landing. It completely shifts the focus from her past directly into the company's future. It intentionally leaves the interviewer with this lingering image of her actively helping their organization succeed. Brilliant. So we've broken the whole thing down. We've got the structured education intro, the hard and soft skill bridge, the strategic personal hobbies, and that killer future-focused sign-off. The real question now is, how will you take these proven puzzle pieces and build your own narrative? I want to challenge you to apply this newly deconstructed blueprint to your very next interview. Prep that 3-step structure, confidently weave your skills right into your story, and stick that landing. Thank you so much for hanging out with me on this explainer, and hey, good luck out there.